So to get us started, I would like to just thank all of you for coming and joining us today to learn a bit more about the great programming that we have on deck for the fall. In this presentation, we'll be covering the market validation training, go-to-market and sales program, in addition to some of the other more content-specific programs and events that we have running for us. So as Dave said, I'm Leslie Duncan. I'm the Operations Director at VentureLabs, and I also coordinate our Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub activities. So the event that Dave mentioned on the 17th, the Know and Thrive for Resilient Businesses, is a WEC-sponsored event for women entrepreneurs. I would like to acknowledge that VentureLabs is located on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. And in terms of the format for today, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. We'll be going through those as they come up. At the end of market validation training, we'll address those questions. And then at the end of the other two and other programs, we'll hit another round of questions as we go through. And to get started, I would like to introduce you to a couple of our partners for these programs who will each say a few words, and I believe that they are here. We'll confirm. The first one is Eric Cass, who is an ITA at IRAP. So Eric, if you are on, do you want to unmute and say a few words?
Yes, I'm on. Welcome everybody. So two of these programs today will be funded by IRAP. So Dave will go over the details, but for both programs, if you're working with an IRAP ITA and you're interested and you think you're a fit for these programs, then reach out to your ITA from IRAP and they can coordinate the submission. If the programs are oversubscribed, we'll have to make some tough decisions on which companies are the best fit. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Hopefully you'll get the information from the session that's going to help you figure out if this is a good fit or not.
Next partner is Michaela Anzelovich, who's the program coordinator at New Ventures BC. Michaela?
Leslie, and hey everyone. We are so excited to partner with VentureLabs on the MVT. New Ventures has an online free version of the MVT that is open to any BC company, but for this MVT, we'll be supplying some of our entrepreneurs, and some of the content from our MVT will be used in this virtual one that's running with VentureLabs. So again, we're super grateful and excited to be partnering with you guys on this.
All right, so getting into the meat of the session, we will start out with Dave Thomas, who's overseeing our programming at VentureLabs as one of his many hats that he wears, to tell us about the MVT program. He'll be followed by Jeff Hansen from Rocket Builders and Garibaldi Capital, who will talk about the go-to-market program, and Reg Nordman from Rocket Builders, who will tell us about the sales program. And then Dave will come back with some of those additional programs at the end. So I will turn it over to Dave to let us know what's happening.
Great, thank you very much, Leslie. So we're going to go through 3 different programs in a bit of detail today. Spend most of our time on market validation training. I think all of you can read the description here, but in reality, it's a core curriculum mentorship and coaching for participants that are using or working with executive and residence mentors from VentureLabs and New Ventures BC. When we look at the program, how does it structured? Normally, the market validation training has been in person. We realize in today's COVID world that things are not like that. So in terms of preparation, there will be some videos. We're going to leverage the material that New Ventures BC has online, and also a customer discovery webinar that VentureLabs did earlier on this year. And then we'll then have 3 group sessions, which are 3 webinars, 2 to 2.5 hours long. There will be some general material that's presented that complements the preparation. But there will also be breakout rooms where we'll move companies into a breakout room based on the type of company. So if your medical device may be different than software as a service company. Each company will be assigned a mentor who will interact with companies after each session to customize the program and to make sure that it fits the company. There will be follow-up sessions after the whole program ends where the mentor will interact with the company again. And our idea there is to provide feedback on key milestones and next steps. If you're interested, and this is something you think will fit your company, you can apply via the VentureLabs website. And if you know you're interested and you want to do it, we ask you to register now or put your hand up now. So it gives us time to assign a mentor and really find somebody to work with your company. The 3 webinars will start on October the 5th. It's a Monday. Each one of them is scheduled from 1 to 3:30. So once every 2 weeks, the 5th and 19th of October and November 2nd. Individual review and feedback sessions with each of the companies will be scheduled individually, and they'll be during the weeks of November 16th and 23rd. And in these review sessions, we may have more than one mentor or maybe even a special guest turn up, as our goal is to provide customized feedback and make sure that we are providing as much feedback or as much input to each of the companies that participates. So what's covered? We look at the curriculum. This is a similar curriculum to what's used by Innovate Okanagan, Accelerate Okanagan. It has a lot of material that has been part of the market validation program for a number of years. We've updated it and we really feel this is the 2020 version. In that regard, it has a series of topics. I'm not going to read them in great detail, but it is designed as an introduction to many of these topics. So for example, lead generation and your sales process, it's an introduction to that, because this is an early stage program. It's for companies that are beyond the idea stage, maybe working on their minimum viable product and introducing themselves to potential customers and doing customer discovery. When we look at it though, the idea behind the topics is also that it fits an online world. Right now, a lot of it is requirements are digital, and many of the topics we'll look at will focus on how do you do things in a digital scenario. What are the deliverables? In other words, what do you get out of the market validation training program? We're going to work our way around the business model canvas, and it will help you to fill in a current business model canvas that's actually reliable and one that you can use for managing your company or explaining to potential customers, partners, or maybe even investors what you're attempting to do. It should give you a list of key milestones, goals, and objectives for the next 6 months. In other words, in order to move my company forward, what are the things I need to focus on? Often we find people will go and say, oh, I really like to do this, and they'll focus on what they like to do rather than what they need to do. As related to the milestones, there'll be a timeline. So it tells you more and more about what you need to do in the short term in order to build momentum in a number of different parts of your company. It should also, if things go well, provide you with really good feedback from potential customers. So if you're doing customer discovery, and that will be one of the key components in the market validation training, you'll have their comments, your feedback, their feedback, and eventually you'll be able to build personas. In other words, what's my ideal customer? And what are they saying? Not what do I think or what are my hypotheses, but what proof and what knowledge do I have from which to make decisions and move forward. So we really see that the idea is to get things that are at stake in time, in other words, a point in time. That'll be sometime in November, and then things which will allow you to move forward and grow your company over the first 6 months of 2021. So what preparation is required? We ask this and we say, we are going to do a number of online videos that New Ventures BC has already built. They have some great material that's online. And we have the VentureLabs Customer Discovery webinar, which we did earlier on this year. The Customer Discovery webinar is approximately an hour long, and the online videos are 1 to 2 hours. So if you look at the 4 of them, these are the topics that they cover from the New Ventures BC website. It also includes a precursor or some really good warm-up material to the components that'll be part of the actual market validation training. So we would see people doing the customer discovery webinar and videos number 1 and 3 prior to the first session, and videos 2 and 4 prior to the second session that's part of market validation training. So, who delivers the material? So a lot of the course material will be the mentors from VentureLabs and New Ventures BC. We also have some guest speakers and experts who will come in and join us. We're right now talking with and trying to confirm a couple of people from well-known tech companies in the city that are very well understood for their expertise in certain areas. So we really are pleased to say that we will have more than just the sort of mentors or the standard group of people, but there will be guest speakers and experts. The expertise that is available through New Ventures VC, through VentureLabs, we'll also touch base with some of the people in Venture Connection if required, includes a number of different sectors in a number of different areas: medical device, robotics, and hardware. We also have some expertise in software as a service, in other words, enterprise software, and also applications of software in consumer markets. And finally, internet platforms and two-sided markets. So a couple of frequently asked question slides. What stage are the companies? Is this a fit for your company or a fit for another company? So the focus right now is really product market fit. So it's companies that should have a minimum viable product or be validating a minimum viable product. You're past just the idea stage. It's more than something you thought up last week. If you're working on minimum viable product and working on the customers that would relate to that minimum viable product, it's probably very good timing for you. Or if you're having to restart a little bit because the COVID situation has really made it more difficult for me to access people, or the fit that I thought I had in my marketplace has disappeared and I need to restructure things a little bit, that's also probably a company that's at an appropriate stage. How often do I interact with the mentor? There will be mentor sections or sessions following each of the 3 webinars. And we expect that in that 2-week period, there'll be at least 1 and maybe 2 sessions where they will interact with you. They'll want to see, are you able to do some of the deliverables? In other words, are you working through the different portions of the business model canvas? One of the other parts that we really want to do is that if you can register early, we will make sure that the mentor or a mentor connects with you prior to the first webinar. Our goal is to realize that we have to have a lot of things online, but try to personalize and customize it with appropriate expertise for each company that participates. So how many companies will normally participate? Our normal ratio is approximately 2 companies per mentor. So with the roster of mentors available for New Ventures BC and through VentureLabs, we would anticipate having maybe about 14. That number may go up a little bit. There's 2 factors in it. One of them is that we do want to use breakout rooms. So if there's a number of medical device companies, we want to ensure that there's adequate airtime or adequate time for each of the medical device companies to have individual attention and individual feedback. You can't have 10 companies in one section. So a little bit of it will depend on breakout rooms. One other comment I'll make is that we're partnering quite widely with this program. So there are folks online from Innovation Island, from the Accelerator in Prince George, and from other areas. And we've made an offer that we will run the sessions, and if their mentors want to bring in companies that they work with, companies that they understand and have a really good appreciation of, we're happy to have them join the program. In this way, mentors from other areas will be able to interact between the sessions. We could increase our participation a little bit. Groups or breakout rooms. It will be, we say 3 or 4, perhaps as many as 5. It will depend a little bit on the participants and who the registrants are. Is anything else included? So VentureLabs has community membership, and for the companies that are unaligned with other groups, such as New Ventures BC or one of the other accelerators, we're happy to provide community membership, which provides some online mentoring through the end of 2020. So let's go and maybe we could just ask if there's any question and answer right now. I know we heard from Eric earlier on, but if there are other ITAs or other members of NRC IRAP that have questions, or if there are companies that have questions about the market validation training, now would be a good time to take a look at them. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So Pauline, do you see any, or have I put everybody to sleep?
No questions here, Dave.
Okay, so there's no questions right now. Okay, we do have a couple of polls that we would like to deploy right now. So if I'll ask Pauline to do that if she could. So if we could look at a couple of polls, and after that, I'll move to one other. Here's the first one. Could you give us an idea of which of the programs are of interest to you? You're allowed to pick more than one. Pauline, are we able to offer the second one while the first one's still open?
I think we have to wait till we finish this one, and then I'll launch it right
Okay.
afterwards.
Let's go another 10 or 15 seconds with this one, and then we'll launch the second poll.
Okay.
Why don't we move to the next one if we could? Just ask everybody for a little bit of information about what type of company you're with, whether you're a growth student, a growth company, startup, or maybe a student.
I have a question here, Dave,
Yep.
from Sharon. Is there a cost to the participated company or
For the
participant?
market validation training, there is no cost. Okay, so for MVT, it's a free program that's provided and really subsidized and provided by Innovate BC. So we're really pleased with that one. So let's go another 15 seconds or so just to let people provide us with a bit more info.
To fill the air, Dave, Jeff Harris here. I have a quick question for you.
Yep.
I have a growth company that is not tech, but my spin-off is going to be tech. Different brand, different approach, similar target market though. Am I a growth company or am I a startup?
In this case, I'll say you're probably a growth company because you have a lot of customer knowledge and a lot of customer experience. So the best thing to do actually would be for us to take this offline. So my contact info email address is on the last slide, and let's discuss that and we'll decide where the fit is.
Thank you.
One of the things actually from Jeff's question that's interesting is that you can do more than one of the programs. You're not limited to just one. So that's an interesting part too. I'm just going to do one more slide before I turn it over to Jeff Hansen to talk about how the go-to-market program works and the details in that. Really want to make sure people understand the difference between the three different programs. As Eric said earlier on, go-to-market and sales are funded. Go-to-market is funded in part by NRC IRAP, totally by the sales program is totally funded by NRC IRAP. Really, the idea is if you're a really early stage company in customer discovery, working on your minimum viable product, you fit the market validation training. If you have customer experience, you have customers who signed up, maybe you have a little bit, you have revenue, the revenue is coming from different areas, it's a little bit difficult to understand necessarily. If you have full product market fit, then the go-to-market program is good because the customer experience allows you to do targeted marketing. The sales program is for companies that are established in the marketplace. They have a replicable sales model. They get sales leads, they try to close them, they go through all sorts of different things. So two statements we'll make about them is that the go-to-market program helps you generate qualified leads, and the sales program helps you close qualified leads. And another way of making a statement, another way of looking at is that if you have all sorts of leads show up and you can't close them, it may mean that your marketing isn't good because they are not qualified. So the idea that you can jump right to sales sometimes is difficult if you don't have the right marketing approach to do things well. So I'd like to ask Jeff Hansen to take over and talk about the go-to-market program very briefly.
Sorry, Jeff, before, just to interrupt, I have one last question about MVT.
Sure, absolutely.
If companies don't have an association with SFU, can they still participate?
Absolutely. This is open to all sorts of companies, open to sole proprietorships. The idea here is that it's a very open net, and SFU VentureLabs is really the agency that's providing market validation training this time around. Anything else, Pauline?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Great, thanks. I'll turn it over to Jeff if I could, please.
Okay, so go-to-market program. This is the 15th year that we've done this program. It was a a project we did originally with NRC back in 2005, 2006, and has greatly grown. We've actually done this program across Canada in 3 different provinces, and we have even involved Research in Motion at BlackBerry to help them with some of their partner startup companies using this program. So it's been developed and validated. There's, I believe we're up to over 300 companies have been through the program now. And companies typically come through this program, greatly increase their revenue and position themselves better for investment with later stage investors. So Dave, can you take me to the next slide? Yeah, so the program is about creating a comprehensive marketing plan and what's involved in that. Why does it take 4 months and many hours of planning in order to get a really good marketing plan? Well, we have to get very precise in terms of who we're targeting and how we're targeting them. We figure out exactly how those people respond to your marketing messages. We choose the right marketing processes and the right marketing methods, and we develop comprehensive plans all within a budget that you can afford. So there's a lot of moving pieces that come together. When we did this in person, these were 4-hour workshops, but in the virtual setting, we're going to break it into much shorter, manageable pieces because it's very hard to stare at a screen for 4 hours. The next slide, Dave. So this is for companies that they have their MVP. They want to get on with, they think they have the product nailed. They want to get on with marketing. They may have raised some financing or they may be self-financed. And they basically need to get out into the marketplace. And sometimes you're lucky, you're in a really hot area and people will beat a path to your door. But the really challenging part is after those few initial customers come beating a path to your door, you actually have to figure out how you reach out into the marketplace to find people and make sure they know you exist. And it's particularly competitive in a global marketplace. And you're a small Canadian company, you have to get your profile out there so people can identify with you. The program is designed to involve the entire team that generates revenue. So in some companies, the CEO is the CEO, the marketing guy, and the sales guy all at once. So maybe that's the only person, but generally sometimes companies will have a CEO, a marketing person, and a salesperson, in which case they will all attend the event. Okay, companies are selected to participate must have a product that is ready for the market and has some initial customer acceptance. Initial customer acceptance is defined as you have a grouping of initial customers. So you can understand why, how people have responded to your marketing and why they buy. So it's no longer the theory of how you're taking, why people will buy your product. You actually know from learning from the customers why they're buying the product. It's only then that we can develop pretty detailed marketing plans to replicate that over and over and over again. Now, it's highly recommended that you have a business model canvas before you enter the program. And the MVT program is a really great way to get that. If you already have one and you've been working on the business model canvas for a while, you can come directly into the go-to-market program as long as you have this demonstrated customer experience. The next slide, please. So the cost for this program is $1,200, and you have to have an identified NRC IRAP ITA involved in the process. So if I get to the next slide, Dave, I can explain a little bit more what you get out of the program. So the content is broken into a series of sections. So the first phase is we try to refine your market strategy on who you're going after. And the second phase, we actually get into what we call action, where we're actually having an execution plan where you're actually reaching into the marketplace and getting people knowledgeable of your company and getting them to put their hand up to say, I want to be a lead. I want to be a prospect to buy your company. Tell me more. In the first part of the program, we take you through building that strategy, and then we actually have you do a presentation in front of a jury, and that jury will give you feedback on whether they think how you're approaching the market will work. The second part of the program is you're choosing all the different marketing methods, all the campaigns, and figuring out how much all that's going to cost within your budget to reach into the marketplace and get as many sales qualified leads as possible. Let's go to the next slide, please. So I'll put this URL in the chat group. I think I am. Let's see.
So while Jeff's doing that, are there any questions that apply just to the go-to-market program before we move on to sales?
Yeah, I had a question, Jeff Harris here. I put in the group chat. So my MVP is ready to go for January 2021. I currently have customers who use my temping services for physical temping, we'll call it. And my product is going to be a virtual technology temping service. So are these customers?
Well, it sounds like you definitely have customer experience, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Once again, we can discuss offline, but my impression is that one of the things you really want to do is go from the in-person to the virtual and to productize it more than the service. So it sounds like a really interesting challenge and one that we should discuss because I can't tell you immediately whether you're fit or not, but I'm inclined to think you probably do.
Okay. Thank you kindly.
Okay. So this says pre-registration. What does that mean? Well, it means you're trying to reserve your spot. When we offered this in person, we offered it only to 12 companies at a time. We think virtually we can do maybe up to 16 companies, but they have to fall within a parameter of certain pod areas so that it's easier for us to mentor that larger group. So please put your name in as soon as possible, reserve a spot. You're not actually asked by this form to pay any money, but we just need to initiate that discussion to find the right grouping for you first.
I think one other thing I'll add is that we want to make sure that if companies do come into the go-to-market program, we have the right expertise. So if we hear from somebody, we can go into our network and try to find someone who would be an effective additional mentor or someone who can help us with things.
I have a couple of questions here, Dave. And Jeff, when does the program start?
So we're looking at starting in early November. So this one would, the first, as Jeff said earlier on, it's in 2 parts. This is the list of phase 2. Phase 1 is November and just into the beginning of December. And then phase 2 would go January, February, and right up until the beginning of March. So it's really the start date would be the first week of November is where we're aiming for right now.
And are attendees gonna receive the slides after the presentation?
Attendees for go-to-market, yes, everything's provided, so they have that.
No, sorry, I think from this call.
Yeah, well, this is being recorded and the slides will be available, so you'll be able to go and watch it again. And anybody who's interested in having the slides, we can certainly make them available.
Great.
Hi, this is Baljeet from Tej Labs.
Yep.
Just a quick question. What kind of methodologies or tools or processes are covered under this program for the digital marketing purposes?
Right. So Jeff, are you interested in, you want to take that one?
So yeah, the foundation of the course is we use a methodology from Harvard Business School called playing to win. And we break the course components into that in terms of having a strategic framework to think about your market strategy. And then from that, we're using a lot of methods from crossing the chasm, and we're using a bunch of methods with regard to inbound marketing and outbound marketing methods for the actual execution plan. So it's probably loosely based on about 5 to 6 different best-selling books, but it's also tempered with all the years of experience. I didn't mention my experience at the beginning, but I have had 3 successful exits as a startup entrepreneur. I've also been a venture capitalist, and I'm currently an investment banker that providing large amounts of capital to later stage companies. So I have this wealth of experience of understanding the whole life cycle of companies and how they actually get market penetration.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Anything else?
Can companies apply to the MVT program with one product and the GTM program with another product?
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Thanks. That's all. Yeah.
Great, thanks. I'd like to ask Reg Norbin to join us right now and talk about the sales program. It's a new program which we initiated last year in conjunction with Eric. And I wonder if Reg can make a few comments, please.
Sure. Well, thanks, Dave and Jeff. I'm a sales guy, and so Dave always has to say, just make a few. So this program came about because through the years of running the go-to-market program, people said, okay, that was great. So how can you do that for sales? So Jeff and I have been planning this thing for over 5 years, looking at different ways and models of doing it. And last year, IRAP decided that they would support it. We started with 5 companies in January, going great guns, and then COVID hit. And immediately, everybody's program had to be changed. All your channels that they normally did to contact leads and actually close the leads kind of dried right up, and there was a lot of panic going on. And we coached these guys through this, and most of them did quite well out of it. We had a few people who panicked and just shut their business down, but that happens. This year, I've already gone through, for this term, I've already worked with 3 companies, and I end up, we've been working on, I've been coaching a sales manager. I've been coaching leadership teams. I've been acting as a senior sales manager for a company as they build up their team, a sales team. And basically, one of the things is that it becomes very personalized very, very quickly because everybody's situation is quite different. And once we peel back all the various things that they're doing in sales and marketing and look at the current status, there's usually holes. Some ones that are very strong and other ones that are kind of subtle. So as a number one, 2 here is your sales process repeatable? Because you're only going to make gazillions of dollars if it's a very easy, repeatable sales process. If you're trying to sell to a huge power utility in British Columbia, you've only got 1 customer or maybe 2. Not very repeatable. So we have to find, you have lots, can you be greedy and make a lot of money? Doing the right things at the right time with the right people. I call these under 2 topics. I call sales hygiene and sales efficiency. Hygiene is doing the right things, and efficiency is doing the right things at the right time to the right people. Very different. And it's oftentimes a big surprise to the company that just beating the doors on these leads and not showing good value isn't going to get them in there and talking to them, especially since traditional methods have completely turned around. We give recommendations on process, personnel, and partnerships. Pretty much cover the whole gamut. It seems to work the best when companies have completed or are in the go-to-market program because they're starting to become aware, very, very aware of their customers and what they need to be saying to the customers and driving leads in. It's less effective if you've got very, very few leads and you're trying to generate leads and close leads and do that, and you don't have a lot of resources. We can help, but there's other guys that we can help even more, and you have to be a little more mature. Next slide, Dave. So customize. It quickly becomes one-to-one coaching, and the dates are according to the companies. I talk at noon to people. I talk on Tuesday to people. I talk on Saturday to people. I prefer not to, but whenever it fits in. Usually it's late afternoon. This is completely covered by NRC IRAP, and you must apply through your IRAP ITA. You have to make a proposal, and they give you a form to fill out. And then we look and review that, and we have a call and talk to you about where you are. And if we think we can help you, we will add you to the list. Again, as Jeff said, doing it virtually this year, we're off to a good start because I've already got 3 people, 2 of them completed this year. So in this session, all the way to next March, I've got quite a bit of time and quite a bit of room. I think that's it for me. Any questions?
I'll just add one more point. I think one of the things that IRAP is keen on is because it is virtual, we're going to run this program across different provinces in Western Canada. So we may have companies from Alberta, other provinces, and certainly all around British Columbia participate because a lot of the work is virtual in 2020.
And on that point, Dave, the go-to-market, one of the strengths of the go-to-market program when we built it is that you've got a very committed group of companies in the program. There's quite a bit of interaction between the companies. The sales program is very customized and individual. So there's less learning from other companies in it than with the go-to-market.
So I think we have Q&A. I'll come back to the slide with the future partners and webinars and other things. Just wanted to know if there are any final questions from anybody about any one of the three programs.
Well, I see one here about can we take go-to-market and the sales program concurrently? And presently, I am looking at one company that's applied that wants to take it concurrently. And depending on where you are as a company, I feel that we can have it concurrent. The big choke point is the amount of attention you can put on each of the programs. The go-to-market program is very intense, very thorough, and it does require every session you do some work. With the sales program, it's more like, well, what did we do last week? Okay, what are you working on this week? Let's look at this particular aspect and improve on that. So we can do it concurrently.
Yes. Other questions?
I have a couple questions here about the go-to-market program. Is it priced per person or per company?
The price is per company. So it's on average about 2.5, 2.3 to 2.5 people attend from every company. That's sort of what the historical number has been.
And is the $1,200 cost reimbursed by IRAP, or is that
No, it's not.
come out of the company's
It's a cost that's borne by the company.
Okay.
And to that question about the program, all the go-to-market program is recorded and put up on a shareable area, so you can review it over and over and over the material.
Okay. Any other questions?
None that I see, Dave.
Okay, great. I'm just going to close now and thank Leslie for the introductions, Michaela and Eric for making a few comments, and also for Jeff and Reg for coming in and explaining the different programs for us. I hope that they're of interest, and I hope that they fit your schedule and that we'll be able to work with a number of the different companies and also with the accelerators and other groups that are active in the province. I think New Ventures BC said earlier on that they're interested in partnering with us, and so are we. I just want to indicate a few things that are going on. More webinars. There's one which is tomorrow, which is Know and Thrive, Financial Strategies for Resilient Business, which is put on through WEC. Garibaldi Capital is back with their third webinar for us this year, building a financial roadmap that optimizes capital efficiency. And Venture Connection has something which is specific to SFU, but it's entrepreneurial support at SFU next week. We are very active during Vancouver Startup Week. We're doing 3 different panels. One is the financing ecosystem update that VentureLabs will produce. Reaching your target audience with effective and affordable digital marketing is something we will do in conjunction with Innovate BC. And then our third one is customer discovery and rediscovery. In closing, I'd really like to encourage everybody to join New Ventures BC Competition Awards. It's on October the 1st at 5 p.m. The New Ventures BC competition is a very big part of the tech ecosystem in British Columbia. We're very pleased to see them wind up the competition for the 20th time. So unless there's anything else, I'm going to stop the share, and then I think we'll close this down if that's okay.
Can I ask a question before you wrap it up? By the way, this is Iraj from Rentrex. We are a company that we have like software that we are selling as a service. We have more than 40 clients from all around the world. And I'm not sure if go-to-market program is a better program for us or the sales program, because our sales cycle is kind of repetitive, and we already know that which stages we are going through or prospects. And also our problem is like a lead generation. So I wonder which program works better for us.
Yeah. So I think if your problem is generating leads and getting quality leads, it probably would be the go-to-market program. But I think you were in the market validation training program last year at VentureLabs, and it'd be easy to go offline and have a conversation to make sure we select the correct one for you going forward.
Yeah, Dave, for any company that's trying to understand that, I'm happy to chat with them. If they have their business model canvas, we can talk about what on their business model canvas is working and how that relates to how they can be doing their marketing.
Yeah. So please feel free. Here's my contact information here. If you'd like to set up a quick call sometime over the next week or two to discuss, the different programs, which might be the best fit. Jeff can join me asking others, and we'd be very pleased to hear from people.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks so much.
Okay. We have one final question here from Jasneet at a small company with 6 employees. You're about the right size for go-to-market. Again, I suggested if you want, we can set up a call afterwards to talk about it in more detail. Anything else, folks? Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'll let everybody get back to the rest of their day, and we will see everybody in the future, and good luck and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.